Hi, good students. We are going to talk about arms and leg today. Last week, we talked about the shoulder line, the hip tip. Then we talk about the action line is from the sternum to the belly cord and then to the foot. This case here is forming a C curve. From here to here is an S curve. So today we are going to look at the skeleton a little bit more and understand the arms and the leg. I have asked Mrs. Scott to help me on the anatomy.
When we look at the anatomy, we look at the shoulder line, the hip line, and that's because from that comes our arms and our legs. So it helps us to understand the anatomy when we're drawing. So if we compare our body to a tree, what we will see is there's a big trunk, and that trunk, limbs come out from it, and then branches come from the limbs. So we can see in the arm, the upper body, we see the humerus comes down from the trunk, and it branches into two bones, the radius and the ulna, which then become little branches or our fingers. And like a tree, it will go from big to small. In the lower body, we see from the pelvis, we have the femur, which goes in at an angle, and we'll explain in a second. And then the fibula and tibia branches into two, the fibula and tibia, which come down to form the foot. And when we draw the gesture line, we always draw the femur inward to balance out the weight of the body. So the femur comes in, and then the tibia comes out.
Thank you. What we're going to do practice now is we are going to practice our gesture drawing, but this time we're going to go into arms and leg. Okay, so here I have the head is kind of tipped to this direction. And I have my shoulder line. The hip tip. You can double check your proportion to see if it's right. If it's not, you can make adjustment. And my sternum to the belly cord. And then to the foot. And same thing this part right here. Now what we're going to talk about today, the upper part as a box. And also the pelvis. Okay, and then from here, we're going to do the leg.
So we're going to have the femur bone, which comes from the pelvis. It's going to go down to the knee, and it's going to branch out into the fibula and tibia. So we're going to draw the curve of the fibula to the foot.
And then here's on the femur to the knee. And then fibula to the foot. And then on this hands right here,
the humerus to the elbow, and then the radius to the wrist, to the hand.
Okay, so on this side here, we have the box, and then if you guys want to pay attention to the box, here to here has more space than from here to here. And the reason for that is because the box that what I have here is tipped from us. So it's from here all the way to here, to the side. And the hip, the pelvis.
So the femur bone to the knee and the tibia to the foot. Humerus to the elbow, to the radius, to the hand.
Okay, so from there, what we're going to, here is the structure too. This is the rib cage right here. Okay. And what we're gonna do today is something fun about using the clay to build
Our box mat.
Yeah, our box mat. You also need a wire, the long one for the body, and then the small one, there's two small ones for the arms and the leg.
So that's to attach the shoulder to the arms and the hips to the legs, right?
Okay, and then you have this Play-Doh here. You want to do probably about the third, and this part is going to be your body, not your body, the clay, the one that you're going to make. You want to use those two fingers, if you can see those two fingers right there. And what we're trying to make here is a box mat. Okay, and then I'm going to have Mr. Scott to explain about the curve on the box as well.
So when we look at the side view of the person's anatomy, we have the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. What we see is that they're not perfectly in line. So what we have is the head is always slightly forward because it's the curvature of the neck. Your upper back comes back at the top, and your pelvis goes forward at the front. So we can see that it shapes a curve, or
yeah. So what you want to do is you go. It's like this way, and then the head is going forward,
like this.
Okay. So from the body, we're going to do a rectangular shape, is for our rib cage. And I'm going to raise it right here. I mean, you can draw it bigger if you wanted to, but today I'm just going to do about this size. I can do it. And then my hip, or my pelvis, is going to be a little bit smaller, about right there. If you want to, you can make your pelvis kind of like a on the side, because we're going to attach our leg on the side later. Okay, and then the head. Kind of forming into an egg shape. So this is going to be the egg. You can place it on the table first to see if there's a size that work. If not, you can make that adjustment. I feel my head is a little bit too big. So once those three parts is good, the head is still kind of big. That you can use a longer wire and then started to put them together. I started with the pelvis line. And on this one right here, you want, it's not in the middle, but it's on the, like here to the back a little bit. So we're going to put this through here. And then you can put your rib cage. And then the head. So make sure the head is kind of leaned forward. The rib cage is doing this. Right here. Then what you want to do is roll a 2-cylinder shape, and then you can divide this to half again. You can roll it to kind of like a snake. And you wanted to do the leg first. So I'm putting through a wire on my pelvis right here. And then I attach this to the leg, not from the bottom, but from the side, okay? And I'll do the same thing on this side right here. So here's the leg. And for the arms, you want to do the same thing. Now, legs and arm, they are two part of it, but because the Play-Doh is kind of hard for you to form that, and you can do one right here. Okay. For some reason, I'm running out of my clay. It's all right. I'm just gonna do like this. And then you can bend it the position that you wanted to do. You can have your Play-Doh man doing running if you wanted to. Make sure that kind of like this way. Okay, I hope that you have fun with this. Do be patient with yourself a little bit because the Play-Doh is kind of soft and is somehow kind of hard to form it, but you don't want to keep touching it. I'm gonna put this right here. And then you want to bake it for 250 degrees and for 10 to 15 minutes. So I would say about 12 minutes is good to just be safe. Okay, and I make a little bit more. You can kind of see this part right here, and then also right here. I made it with needle eraser. So if you don't want to bake it, and we can try needle eraser as well.